What if I told you there's a part of your home that's been quietly asking for attention, and cleaning it could actually be fun? I know, cleaning doesn't usually sound exciting, but this one small reset might surprise you. In the next few minutes, I'll show you how giving a little love to this overlooked corner of your house can instantly lift your mood, spark forgotten memories, and make your space feel lighter. You don't need hours, heavy lifting, or fancy tools. Just a few minutes and a willingness to see your home with fresh eyes. Too often, clutter sits in the background, weighing us down without us realizing it. But when you clear and reset just one small area, it's like a breath of fresh air for both your space and your spirit. Stick with me, because by the end, you'll discover that tidying up isn't just about cleaning. It's about creating joy in your everyday life. Let's be honest, cleaning rarely makes it onto anyone's list of fun activities. Especially as the years go by, our bodies may tire more quickly, our patience a little thinner, and what used to feel like a quick task can suddenly feel overwhelming. But here's the truth. Clutter has a sneaky way of piling up in small corners, on a shelf, in a drawer, even on the nightstand, and we often stop noticing it until it begins to weigh us down. Have you ever walked past the same messy spot day after day and felt a tiny pang in your chest? That's not just the dust, that's the silent stress of unfinished business staring back at you. And you're not alone in this. Many of us carry that invisible heaviness without realizing how much it affects our mood and energy. The good news is, you don't need to tackle the whole house. Sometimes, it just takes resetting one small space to feel lighter, calmer, and more in control again. Today, we're not tackling the garage, the closet, or any space that feels overwhelming. Instead, we're focusing on something small but surprisingly powerful, your bookshelf or display shelf. This little area often goes unnoticed, quietly gathering dust and clutter. Yet it's also where some of your most meaningful treasures live. Think about it. Books that shaped you, photos that tell your story, keepsakes from trips or loved ones. When left in disarray, they fade into the background. But when you give them a reset, they come alive again, reminding you of who you are and the moments that matter most. By the end of this reset, you won't just have a neater shelf, you'll have a space that feels lighter, warmer, and filled with joy. And the best part? This isn't about hours of hard work. It's a simple, manageable refresh that anyone can do, and it can completely transform the energy of your home in just minutes. Step 1. The quick pull. The very first step in this reset is what I call the quick pull, and it's exactly what it sounds like. You're going to gently pull everything off the shelf. Now, before you think this sounds like a chore, let me reassure you, this part is actually the most fun, because the truth is, the moment you start moving things, you're not just cleaning, you're rediscovering. You won't believe what I found hiding behind an old photo frame the first time I did this. It was a tiny seashell I had completely forgotten about, tucked away from a beach trip years ago. And here's the beautiful part. That small discovery immediately lifted my mood. It reminded me of the warm sand, the laughter, and the people I was with. That's the magic of the quick pull. It turns cleaning into a little treasure hunt. As you take items off, don't rush. Pick each one up and notice it. Sometimes, we stop seeing the things we live with every day. They blend into the background, and we forget the stories attached to them. Maybe it's a book with notes in the margins, a photo in a frame that hasn't been dusted in years, or a souvenir that sparks a smile. Each object has the potential to reconnect you with a memory or remind you of a season in life. And here's the actionable part. As you remove each item, place it on a nearby table or even just a cleared space on the floor. Lay them out where you can see them. The idea isn't to get rid of everything. This isn't a purge. It's about creating a fresh canvas, so you can later decide what deserves a place of honor on your shelf. Think of it as temporarily pressing the reset button on this little corner of your home. While you're doing this, keep your eyes open for those hidden surprises. Maybe you'll find something you didn't even realize was missing. Or maybe you'll notice that some things don't carry the same meaning anymore, and that's okay too. This is your chance to decide what adds value to your space and what might be quietly draining your energy. And remember, this doesn't have to be perfect. You don't need fancy organizers or expensive storage bins. You're simply making space, physically and emotionally, for the things that matter most. That's why this step is so powerful. It's not just about removing dust or clutter. It's about clearing away the noise so the meaningful things can shine. Now, here's a tip to make this easier and even more enjoyable. Put on some light background music that makes you smile. It could be an old favorite, something soothing, or even a song that gets your toes tapping. This isn't meant to feel like hard work. It's meant to feel like a small gift you're giving yourself. As you finish the quick pull, take a moment to pause and look at the empty shelf. Notice how open and spacious it feels, even without anything on it. That blankness has its own kind of beauty. It's a reminder that your home, just like your life, has room for new beginnings. By the time you've completed this first step, you'll already feel a small shift. You've moved from just cleaning into reconnecting with your belongings, your memories, and even yourself. That's the heart of this reset, and we're only getting started. Step 2. The wipe down. Now that your shelf is clear, it's time for one of the simplest, yet most satisfying parts of this reset, the wipe down. Don't worry, I promise this won't take long, and you don't need to scrub or bend or strain yourself. In fact, this whole step takes less than 3 minutes, but the effect is instant. Think of it like giving your space a quick refresh, the same way you might splash cool water on your face in the morning. Small effort, big difference. Here's what you'll need: a soft microfiber cloth and a gentle, safe cleaner. If bending or heavy spraying is tough, a damp cloth with a drop of mild soap works perfectly. The microfiber does most of the work for you. It grabs the dust instead of just moving it around. No harsh chemicals, no complicated tools. Simple, safe, effective. Start at the top of your shelf and gently glide the cloth across the surface. Notice how quickly the dust disappears. This isn't about perfection, it's about progress. With every swipe, you're removing not just dust, but also that layer of stale energy that collects when things sit untouched for too long. I like to think of this step as clearing space for new moments. Each stroke of the cloth is like telling your home, I see you, I care for you. I'm giving you a fresh start. And here's something I've found. While your hands are busy, your mind relaxes. There's a rhythm to it. Wipe, fold the cloth. Wipe again. That can feel almost calming, even meditative. And here's a little secret. When you wipe down a space you see every day, you'll notice the difference immediately. A shelf that's free of dust shines in a quiet, subtle way. It feels lighter, brighter, and more inviting. That tiny change ripples through the rest of your home, like opening a window and letting in fresh air. Now, if you want to make this even easier on yourself, here's a trick. Keep your cleaning supplies nearby, in a small basket or caddy. That way, instead of waiting until the dust is heavy, you can do a light wipe whenever you feel like it. Seniors often tell me this makes cleaning less of a dreaded project and more of a quick, almost effortless reset. But beyond the practical side, there's an emotional piece here too. As you wipe down the shelf, take a moment to notice how good it feels to give attention to something that's often overlooked. You're not just cleaning wood or glass. You're preparing a stage for your memories, your treasures, your stories. That little act of care can spark pride and even joy. And let's be honest, there's something deeply satisfying about seeing instant results. You don't have to wait days or even hours. In less than 3 minutes, your shelf looks fresher, feels cleaner, and welcomes back the things that truly matter. When you finish, step back for a second and admire that open, gleaming space. Doesn't it feel good? That's the reward of this step. Not just a clean shelf, but a lighter spirit. You've created a blank canvas, and in the next step, You'll get to fill it intentionally with items that make you smile, lift your heart, and remind you of the best parts of your life. So, take a breath, give yourself a small pat on the back, and remember, this isn't about doing it all at once. It's about little resets like this, simple and manageable, that add up to a home and a life that feels calmer, brighter, and more joyful. Step 3. Rediscover and smile. Now comes my favorite part of the whole process, the rediscovery. This is where cleaning turns into something much more than just tidying. This is where you get to smile, maybe even laugh, and reconnect with the pieces of your life that have been sitting quietly, waiting to remind you of the good moments. As you look at the items you pulled from the shelf, pause with each one. Don't rush to decide what stays or goes just yet. Instead, let yourself enjoy the little stories these objects hold. Maybe it's an old photograph tucked in a frame that hasn't been dusted in years. You pick it up, wipe it gently, and suddenly you're transported back to that day. The clothes you wore, the people who stood beside you, the smiles frozen in time. Photos aren't just paper. They're memory triggers, little windows into the past, and often the best reminders of how full your life has been. And then there are the knickknacks. Maybe you've got a seashell from a vacation decades ago, or a small figurine someone gave you as a gift. At first glance, they may just seem like objects, but when you really look, they carry meaning. That seashell? It might remind you of the sound of waves, or how you laughed as the tide chased you up the beach. That figurine? Maybe it takes you back to the person who gave it to you, the kindness they showed, or the season of life you were in when you received it. These aren't just things. They're pieces of your story, and revisiting them can feel like opening a little time capsule. Here's the important part. Let yourself feel whatever comes up. Some items might make you smile. Others might bring a touch of sadness, and that's okay too. Both emotions are part of the journey. The goal here isn't just to organize your shelf, it's to honor your memories, to give space to the stories that shaped you, and to let go of anything that no longer serves you. If you find something that no longer sparks joy or connection, don't feel guilty. Think of it this way. That item has already done its job. It played its part in your life, and now it can step aside so other, more meaningful things can shine. For seniors, this is especially powerful because it transforms decluttering from a chore into a reflection, one that celebrates the past while also making room for the present. And here's a gentle tip. As you rediscover items, speak the story out loud, even if you're alone. This was from our trip to Italy. This was the book my granddaughter gave me. Saying it out loud reinforces the memory and makes the moment feel richer. If you live with someone, share the story with them. These conversations become connections, turning a simple shelf reset into an opportunity for bonding. You'll notice something magical happens here. As you move through your belongings, you're not just cleaning, you're reliving, reconnecting, and in many ways, resetting yourself too. The shelf becomes more than furniture. It becomes a curated reflection of the life you've lived and the joy you've experienced. So here's where the fun really comes in. You get to choose what makes it back onto your shelf, instead of everything crowding the space. Imagine selecting just the treasures that make you smile. You're turning your shelf into a stage, and each item is a star. When you walk past it tomorrow, next week, or next month, you won't see clutter. You'll see reminders of love, laughter, and meaning. This step, rediscover and smile, is what transforms a simple cleaning task into something powerful. It proves that decluttering isn't about losing, it's about gaining. Gaining peace, gaining space, and most importantly, gaining the joy that comes from surrounding yourself with the things that truly matter. Take your time here. Enjoy it. This isn't a race, it's a gift of memory, of meaning, and of joy. And when you're ready, we'll move to the next step, resetting your shelf in a way that keeps it simple, beautiful, and easy to enjoy every single day. Step 4. The reset. Now that you've rediscovered your treasures and enjoyed the stories they carry, It's time for the part that brings everything together, the reset. This is where we give your shelf a fresh start. Not by putting everything back the way it was, but by arranging it with purpose and intention. Think of it as creating a small gallery of your life. A little sanctuary that feels calming every time you walk past it. Start by looking at all the items you laid out. Take a moment to choose only the ones that make you smile, spark a fond memory, or feel truly meaningful. It's tempting to put everything back, but here's the secret: less is more. When every item on your shelf tells a story you love, you don't need a crowded space, you need a curated one. Each piece you select becomes special because it has room to shine. As you begin placing items back, think about balance. For example, pair a taller item, like a framed photo or a favorite book, with a smaller keepsake beside it. This creates a natural rhythm that's pleasing to the eye. If you're not sure where to start, begin with your absolute favorite piece, the one that makes your heart feel warmest. Place that in a central spot and let the other items build around it. Here's an important tip that often gets overlooked: leave some empty space. Open space is not wasted space, it's breathing room. A shelf crammed with objects can feel overwhelming, like visual noise. But when you leave areas clear, it gives your eyes a place to rest and your mind a sense of calm. Seniors often tell me that this single change makes their homes feel instantly more peaceful. It's not about how much you display, it's about how much meaning you allow each item to carry. Another little trick: group items by theme or memory. Maybe you have a travel section with a photo from a trip and a small souvenir beside it, or a family section with a framed picture and a handwritten note from a loved one. These small groupings create stories right on your shelf, making it feel intentional rather than random. And don't be afraid to rotate your treasures. You don't have to keep the same things on display forever. In fact, switching them out every season can bring fresh joy and keep the space feeling new. Today's seashell might be replaced in a few months with a holiday ornament, or a favorite book might trade places with a framed card. Rotating lets you enjoy more of your treasures without cluttering your space. As you reset, remember to keep it light and joyful. This isn't about perfection. There's no right way to style a shelf. It's about creating a space that feels good to you. If it makes you smile when you see it, you've done it right. And here's the deeper meaning behind this step. By being intentional with what you put back, you're sending yourself a message. You're saying, these are the things I choose to surround myself with. These are the memories, the values, and the joys that deserve space in my life. That's a powerful act of self-care, one that goes far beyond dusting or organizing. When you've placed your items and stepped back, take a moment to notice how different the shelf feels now. It's not just neater, it's lighter, calmer, and more personal. You've transformed it from a forgotten, cluttered spot into a little beacon of peace and meaning in your home. This is the beauty of the reset. It's simple, it's doable, and it changes more than just your shelf. It changes how you feel when you walk into the room. Instead of seeing clutter that drains your energy, you'll see stories that lift you up. And the best part? This small reset doesn't just last a day. It sets the tone for how you interact with your space moving forward. Take pride in what you've created. You've done more than clean. You've curated joy. And that joy will greet you every single day from this freshly reset shelf. I still remember the first time I tried this little reset. I pulled out a stack of books, and tucked behind one was a tiny seashell I had completely forgotten about. The moment I held it in my hand, I was back on that beach years ago, sand between my toes, kids laughing, the sound of the waves rushing in. That single object brought the whole day flooding back in the most beautiful way. And that's the real joy of this reset. It's not just about wiping dust or straightening things. It's about reconnecting with the pieces of your life that hold meaning, even the ones you didn't realize were waiting to be remembered. Every shelf, every drawer, every little corner of your home has the potential to carry stories like that. And when you uncover them, You don't just clean your house, you refresh your spirit. Look at the difference. Same shelf, same items. But now it feels like a little window of joy in my home. What once looked cluttered and heavy now feels intentional, meaningful, and even a little inspiring. This small change creates a ripple effect. When you walk past a space that feels calm and cared for, your whole mood shifts. Instead of carrying the weight of disorder, you feel lighter, clearer, and even energized. And the beauty is, it didn't take hours or exhausting effort. It just took a few minutes of attention and a willingness to reset. That's the secret to making your home feel more peaceful. Not tackling everything at once, but creating little corners of joy that add up to a big difference. Every time I pass this shelf, I don't just see objects. I see memories, laughter, and moments that matter. And that reminder makes my entire day feel brighter. Now I'd love to hear from you. What's one little corner in your house that could use a fun reset? Share it in the comments below, and who knows, I might feature your idea in a future video. Your stories inspire not just me, but everyone watching. And if this simple shelf reset gave you even one smile, do me a favor, give this video a thumbs up and subscribe to Simplify After 60 for more easy, meaningful resets that bring joy back into your home. Remember, it's never about doing everything. It's about making small, intentional changes that brighten your space and your spirit.